Okay, I'm going to do this video. I'm going to go over the stuff with the Nashville V-bed. But first, for those of you on YouTube, what you missed being on YouTube, not over at Rumble or BitChute, training videos on World War I Livens projector or German Gaswurf Minen, the Iraq War Iraqi speed bump mine, rant number 20, COVID-19 porculus bill. And from this last weekend, load-bearing equipment systems ideas for people who never served in the military. You want to see these videos? You got to come over to BitChute or Rumble. That's where the training videos are going to be at. I'm not putting them on YouTube. Address is up here. Address is in the description. Come on over. If you come over to Rumble, you're going to see I'm transferring my videos from YouTube over to there. So the new video gets posted and then it's going to get followed up with some old ones. If you want to stay caught up, you're better off checking over at BitChute because there I'm pretty much caught up on the uploads over there. So the new stuff goes there and it just keeps with the new one after another. Now, Nashville. I've watched a few live streams and a few videos on this from like Black Scout Survival, I think it was Heavy Duty Country, Dabu 7, and everybody else has made comments on it too. Now, just a big reminder, and I'm not going to tell you anything you don't already know, but I'm going to tell you to start thinking on some of this stuff. Christmas Day morning, before the sun comes up, someone parks an RV near the AT&T building, not in front of it. RV goes kaboomy, and then everyone goes nuts, and we're talking about domestic terrorism. Now, right away off the bat, the Nashville local government and the media is saying that, oh, he's this V-bed, vehicle-borne improvised explosive device, V-bed, aka car bomb, was targeting the AT&T building. This was the target for sure. Well, it sounds like the RV was parked half a block to a block away. So how can you say the AT&T building was the target if it's parked half a block to a block away? Remember, this is Christmas Day morning, so it's not like the streets are going to be full of cars that he can't literally park it right in front of it. Supposedly the RV got parked at like freaking 1:30 in the morning, or even go 3 in the morning. And it didn't go off till 6:30. 6 o'clock, around that time, because they say a half hour before the bomb goes off, police get a phone call saying shots fired downtown Nashville. Cops show up. No shots being fired. No one coming out telling them that shots have been fired, pointing out where the shooter was. Nothing. And then they start hearing broadcasting from an RV parked on the street, which someone found suspicious for whatever reason. No one's explained why. It's Christmas Day morning. There's an RV on the street. How is that suspicious? It could be someone from out of town coming visiting a family member, whatever. Okay, RV on the street starts broadcasting a message. Female's voice, evacuate the area immediately. Some people are saying that the message said, evacuate the area, bomb. But the recordings that I've heard so far, which are the ones released by the police, not one have I heard this voice say a bomb is about to go off. All I've heard is the female voice saying, evacuate the area immediately. Why? But the cops go through, they start doing it. Now, maybe someone will say they looked in the windows, they seen the bomb. But then they show pictures and video that all the windows were covered. You can't look inside. How did they know there was a bomb? Okay, so we get our countdown. You have a cop less than a block away, around the corner. Comes out, looks, goes back around the corner. Kaboom, RV goes off. A second to 2 seconds later at most, Mr. Cop comes back around the corner, casualty, looking down at the damage. After the blast is done. is complete. And then, oh my God, domestic terrorism, bomb, everyone run in fear, everyone fearful. Okay, holes in the story. Now, as you may have already heard, this bomb that supposedly was targeting AT&T was parked half a block to a block away. This information is coming from the Doug Hagman show. People investigating it there. They're finding out that, hey, this wasn't in front of the AT&T building. It was actually a little ways away. There's people saying that, oh, AT&T was targeted because the Dominion voting machines were there from Georgia. But we can't confirm that. Well, maybe a few of them were there, but they can't confirm that. But the only thing they can confirm is that supposedly AT&T, for some reason, is investigating the Dominion machines. Why? Why is AT&T given this job, this contract? I really don't understand why. It does not make sense, but whatever. Now, you have people out there saying that, oh, this was a strike from a directed energy weapon. Okay, do we have directed energy weapons? Yes, we've had them for a very long time, but we won't admit them. Why the high holy hell would we use a directed energy weapon, which I guarantee would have some of the best targeting systems you've ever heard of and never heard of? Why did it target a fucking RV on the street and not the building itself? That building should be freaking a smoking crater. It's not. I've also heard people say this was a missile. You can see the contrail right before the blast. Well, personally, I wonder if this directed energy footage that they're citing and the contrail footage is actually footage from after the blast reversed. So you're seeing debris flying out. And people are saying that this is proof of something coming in. It's actually going reversed. So it looks like instead of going out, it's coming in. Now, the whole missile thing, I'm about to poke another huge hole in it. I'm poking at the eyeball here on this one. Have we truly gotten that inept? Have people forgotten the first Gulf War? 1991. All the press conferences where we seen video camera footage from the missiles themselves being transmitted over crappy, live stream technology from 30 years ago, where they're targeting specific windows on specific floors of targets in Baghdad. So are you telling me in 30 years our technology has degraded to the point where we're no longer able to target a specific window? We now have a plus or minus of half a block to a block from the target. Trying to get you to think on this stuff. So that kind of pokes another hole in that one, doesn't it? Now, the RV itself. People have pointed this out. The RV that's seen in the footage is similar to what the guy they're saying is the bomber had that was seen on Google Earth outside his home. There are things that don't quite match up between the two. Some people have pointed it out. Well, the RV in front of his home has a double stripe. The one in front of on the footage has a single stripe. Well, I can easily chalk that up to crappy security cameras. I used to work in the security industry. Trust me, companies get the cheapest fucking cameras they can and resolution sucks ass. Major things like that do disappear in security camera footage. Trust me. I've seen it, especially when you're looking at footage from nighttime and crappy security lighting. But there are some other things like structural damage and things on the side of the vehicle, on the rear of the vehicle, front of the vehicle, that are not seen on the footage but are seen on the Google Earth pictures. So unless this guy went through and did some major renovations on the RV right before he was going to blow it up for some reason, I have my questions about if it's the same RV. I also have questions about the guy did a suicide bomb. Now, we're saying this because of footage, or at least talk from police saying that there's no footage showing him leaving the RV and walking away. And for proof, it's video they show us. Well, how do we know they didn't cut that, couple seconds out of there, resplice it, and then rolled it on to make it look like the guy stayed in the RV? I question if the guy, well, he probably was in the RV, but I question, was he breathing? Did he have a pulse before, even the recording started inside the RV? Next thing, the IED itself. Trust me, I've seen it all over the place, from the armchair generals, the people that played Call of Duty once back in 2005, they're experts in explosives. People saying, this had to be the Iranians. They're the only ones that use car bombs. 1995, Oklahoma City, ring a bell to anybody? So it's not just the Iranians, not just them crazy Islamofascists that use car bombs. Add to this, ammonium nitrate. You hear that a lot too. Oh, this had to be ammonium nitrate. That's the only thing that would cause a blast like this. Go back to 1995, Oklahoma City. Look at the crater. Compare it to what you see in Nashville. Not even close, is it? The crater you see in Nashville, from what I've seen from the photos, looks about a foot down into the concrete, down into the asphalt. That's pretty much nothing. If it was ammonium nitrate, I'd expect to see a bigger hole. I'd also expect to see pieces of the RV sticking out of the hole too. Other people are saying, oh, this was RDX, this was PETN, this is tannerite, this is this is that, this is this. All of those are higher order explosives, except tannerite. Yeah, it's down around near ammonium nitrate. It's low order explosive, but still. I'd still expect to see a bigger fucking crater. Now, let's go into the footage of the blast itself. What is it, like angle 5 or 4? I forgot. We see the RV sitting off on the side of the street. Kaboom! Giant fireball! Those of you who have ever used explosives, you know, a fireball like that hardly ever happens. The only time you see fireballs like that after an explosion is when Hollywood does it with gasoline or propane. Explosions, when they do occur, and yes, I've seen bulk explosions of over 1,000 pounds going off, and I've seen hundreds of pounds, little increments under that, 500 pounds, 600 pounds, all that. You have a fireball, it's not very big. And then most of that wave you see coming out is dust and debris. This was one giant, huge frickin' fireball, which tells me this was probably some type of petroleum product. Oh, combine that with the fact we got a little itty bitty crater too. And the area around it, most of the damage you see looks like burn damage. It looks like soot all over everything. Yes, there's soot after an explosion. Not that much. You see more dust and debris after an explosion, even big ones, than what you see from this. Setup. Plain and simple. Oh, another thing on the explosion thing, I'll mention this. Remember Mr. Cop? Went around the corner about a second before the explosion happened and came out about a second or two after the blast wave passed? Yeah, if you're near hundreds of pounds of explosions going off, especially that close, you're going to have your bell rung pretty good. You're not going to be walking very straight, and more than likely you're going to have major injuries from just the pressure overwave. I call bullshit. Not explosives. Now, another thing we can toss in here. Oh my God, this targeted AT&T because there was an outage of 911 and phone lines in the area 4 to 6 hours after the explosion. Seriously, not related. And then you have people saying, oh, there was an EMP effect. That's why the communications lines were downloaded. How slow was that fucking EMP that it took 4 to 6 hours to hit the circuits and knock out the lines? Think about it. So, what do I think happened in Nashville? A diversion. Now, for those of you that forgot, right before Christmas, what was the big news stories at that time, especially was coming out on Christmas Eve? We had talk about Fung Fung pegging Eric Swallowell. Oh yeah, he liked it so good. And that she was also sleeping with other Democrat politicians. We had the release of, what was it, 1 million to 2 million names of people working for the Chinese government in the United States and Western Europe. Remember that in the news? They don't really talk about it now. Another thing that came out, Christmas Eve. How many of you missed this one? The Ukrainian government dumping the evidence on Uncle Creepy Joe Biden. Yes, not just Hunter was taking payoffs and bribes. Uncle Joe was taking bribes also. Hundreds of millions to over $1 billion of money from corrupt sons of bitches in Ukraine. They dumped the emails. They dumped the files. They dumped the phone calls right before Christmas Day. No one's talking about that now either. This is a diversion to draw us away from the other stuff. Add to that, I think the militia movement, patriot movement, preppers were targeted because what happened right after the bombing? We started getting comments all over the place that we needed to concentrate on Nashville bombing. We need to talk about this now. We need to give our assessment of it. We need to divert us away from the other stuff that was going on. Think about it. It's a diversion. You want to know the truth about Nashville? This is a giant nothing burger. This is no different than some teenager setting off a pipe bomb in front of his teacher's door because he failed him on an exam. Why do I say that? The damage was negligible. Yes, there were some buildings that were damaged, but you know what? Insurance will cover it. Add to that, only 1 person dead, 3 people lightly wounded, and it sounds like it's from flying glass and other flying debris. Even the media was saying when it happened, it was light injuries from debris, but they don't talk about that now. This is nothing. Nothing. It wasn't domestic terrorism. Okay, yeah, he set off a bomb. Yeah, it damaged some buildings. So what? What was the message? What's the 2 times you use a VBID? Anyone. You're either trying to cause mass casualties or you're trying to damage structures or infrastructure. This didn't do either of those. You're not going to damage a building by parking your bomb half a block to a block away. There's no mass casualties because it happened on Christmas morning, well into the morning before the sun came up. No one was around. No one was in the businesses. People were snug in their beds dreaming of sugar plums and Santa Claus dropping off his goodies before he hightailed it out of the area. It's a diversion. Let's get back to looking at things that actually mattered, people, all right? Come over to Rumble, come over to BitChute if you actually want to see some training videos. I got 1 or 2 ordnance videos I want to do this weekend. I want to do some videos on how to set some of this TA-50 together up from scratch for those who never served. You don't come over there, you don't come over to Rumble, don't come over to BitChute, you ain't getting a training video. Plain and simple. I ain't posting on YouTube no more for the communists.